Sha-na-na-na-na-na-na-na, sha-na-na-na-na.
Welcome everybody. Today it's a beautiful spring day, so ready for it, but we have a 1967-ish Penncrest Caravelle 10. This is a Smith Corona, but it's branded for JCPenney. So if you look back here of your typewriter, you'll see it's a JCPenney typewriter, but it's made by Smith Corona. But this one happens to be called a Penncrest Caravelle 10. 10 is 10-inch Carriage. So we're gonna just go through it. I'm gonna show you how to use it, and hopefully this will help you with your typewriter, because I'm assuming if you're watching, you've got one and you don't know how to use it. So let's go ahead and get started. So we're going to start from the back, and you're going to find your paper holder right there. This is your margins. And when I do these tutorial videos, I'm assuming I just come in with the assumption that you don't know anything about typewriters. So for those of you who do know a little bit more, please bear with me and realize that there are many people who have never touched a typewriter, and they're really overwhelmed by it. And I grew up with them, so they're intuitive to me, but I'm actually reminded on a regular basis by those who didn't grow up with these that it is very intimidating to them, and they're pretty much afraid to touch them. So if this is your first one, yay, I'm so excited for you. You're gonna love typewriters. But you have to set everything manually, and don't be afraid of them. They're built very well, much better than anything that's built these days. But so your margins, you press down this black tab and you press them, you just drag it to where you want it. And so you may want to load your paper first, and then figure out where you want your margin set, and then set it accordingly. Now, this whole part is called your carriage. And the one thing about the carriage is it's going to host your paper. But on a typewriter, it doesn't automatically go to the next line. So what the typewriter does, it has a bell. And this bell is pretty sad sounding, but it's there. And when you get to the end of your margin, just before you hit it, that bell's gonna go off so that you know to hit your return handle. And that not only, when you hit the handle, you have to hit it far enough where you feel it click. So that takes you back to the beginning of the line, and it advances you a line, and it'll advance either 1, 2, or 3 lines based on where you want it set. So there's 2 lines, there's 3 lines. That's called your line selector. So those are just some things you want to set before you start typing. Also, to move your carriage, there's a carriage release lever, and it's on either side of the carriage. Now, for some of you, you may have one of these missing. That's really normal. Those do tend to break off quite easily when they went from the metal. They used to be metal, and then when they went to plastic, they do tend to break off. And so if they're both broken off, you just may have to find something to create a lever for yourself there. Okay. And we've seen pen caps, all kinds of straws, plastic spoons. We've seen all kinds of stuff used as levers. Okay, so on the right side, here is your paper release. And I'll show you that right now. So what you want to do is take your paper, put it right against this ruler. You just set it there and then turn your handle. And then make sure that paper comes underneath the metal bar. Now this metal bar keeps that paper taut against the roller. If that metal bar wasn't there, you would hear this like smacking sound when you go to type because there's like air behind the paper. So this metal bar keeps that taut against the roller so that it has a nice solid imprint on your paper. So now this paper release, let's say I did it crooked and it's pretty close. Well, it's actually pretty close. But let's say my paper was really crooked when I loaded it. Then I can pull this forward. I can adjust my paper, put it where I want it. And then, oops, now it's really crooked. And then you just re-engage when you're ready. There. So now my paper, oops, I've got it sliding. I should have left it alone. Okay. But while we've got the, well, one more thing on the carriage. Over here, you'll notice that the handle that's on your roller, it's also called the platen, the handles on each side, one on the left side has like a end that sticks out. That's actually kind of a button, and that releases your lever. And you can use it, some people call it variable spacing. But what happens is when you are, this thing's not rolling. That should roll, but I'm going to move that out of the way. When you turn the handle, it clicks every half of a line. Well, sometimes you want it kind of not quite where the roller's putting it. So you just press that in. It releases, it disengages the roller, so you have, you're free to kind of put your paper exactly where you want, and then once you release the button, it re-engages that roller. Okay, now I'm gonna move the carriage over to the left side, and I'm gonna pull this off, and don't be afraid, you gotta yank it off pretty hard. And what I do is I grab it in the middle and just yank. And inside, you're gonna see your type key basket. You're gonna see your spools and ribbon. And this is where you put your universal ribbon. Now, if your typewriter doesn't have any ribbon in it, you can go to the link in the description below. Visit our website at jotandtittletypewriters.com. And we have ribbons for sale. So this typewriter takes a universal ribbon. That means it's a 2-inch spool with a 1/2-inch ribbon. By the way, while you're watching, give us a thumbs up and hit that follow button. Also notifications, because on Saturdays we come out with new listings. This one takes a 2-color ribbon. So when you put it in, black is on top, red is on bottom. They just simply pull out and you just pop them in. Make sure though, like this ribbon came out of my guide wire right here. I'm going to put that back in there. This is very messy, by the way. Okay, so now this is going to get everywhere. You don't want to touch anything. And then I have an up-close photo of this area. You'll find that in the product listing. Even if it's sold, you can still access the photo. And that'll help you get that threaded properly. Again, remember there's a guide wire over here as well. While we're here, you'll see a little lever on the left side. This is your manual margin ribbon reversal. So some ribbons come with a grommet, a little grommet on the end of the ribbon, which will trigger a ribbon reversal. Not all of them have it. So if you need to manually reverse your ribbon, you do it right here. Okay. So if one way to know that your ribbon needs to be reversed, if the font is faint or if it starts feeling weird when you type it or the typing just stops, don't panic. Always reverse the direction of your ribbon first. Okay. Let's go ahead and pop this back in. Okay, you have your color selector over here on the right. Right now it's on red. The very top is black. In the middle is white. And so the white is stencil. You're not going to use it. And if you try to type on the stencil, it's not going to do anything. So again, if there's something's not working right on your typewriter, this is another thing to check. I always check the ribbon reversal and the color selector before I do anything else. Okay, we have this LMH over here. This is called a touch selector, and that just determines how hard these type bars are going to strike your paper, and it's strictly a personal preference. All right, I'm going to check my margins. I'm going to bring them in a little bit. And I am just going to, let's just type a line. and I'm going to show you the margin release. So there's your bell. And so at this point, I should really hit my return handle and go to the next line. But this time, I'm not going to hit the return handle. I'm going to keep going and show you what happens. Okay, it stopped on me. So there's a button right here. It has an M and an R. That means margin release. I'm going to hit that. Now I can finish my thought, my word, my sentence, and hit my return handle. Now, obviously, this is not, if you're using the margin release on every line, then your margins aren't set properly. This is just every once in a while, you'll be like right in the middle of a word and you don't want to hit the return handle. And so that's when the margin release comes in handy. Now, there is a tab setting, and that's used for either like columns or indenting or whatever. So if you press up, that should clear a tab. Now, if you hold the clear button down and release the carriage at the same time, that should clear all your tabs. So let's check. Yes, it does. All right, now to set, then you go to where you want, hit set, and that should, there you go. So that should set. Now you have your regular space and you have an auto space. And that's what I thought would happen. Some of these typewriters, the auto space doesn't work anymore. It just releases the carriage. Which reminds me, when you're using a typewriter, please don't put any mugs near the carriage. I have broken a few beautiful mugs from that very situation where I hit a button and that carriage went flying, and so did my mug. So that is how you use, oh, by the way, let me look down here and I'm going to show you where to find your serial number. So the serial number is going to be stamped right here underneath. And you can go to typewriterdatabase.com and look up information based on that serial number. Now with Smith Corona, they really, as you get into the 60s and 70s, it gets really hard to nail down a specific year, so it'll just give you kind of an idea. But you can also look at galleries of other people's typewriters and kind of compare it. All right, I hope you found this helpful. Thanks so much for watching, and happy typing.